Barack Obama's daughters have grown up right before our eyes, and their lives in 2025 are nothing short of surprising. Malia and Sasha Obama have stepped far beyond the White House spotlight, carving out paths that few expected. From ambitious career moves to unexpected personal projects, their journeys are both inspiring and intriguing. Here's the inside look at what the former First Family's daughters are doing now, and how they're shaping their own remarkable stories. Malia Obama, 27. We all know that Malia Ann Obama entered the world on America's Independence Day, a fitting birthday for the daughter of a future president. As the eldest child of Barack and Michelle Obama, Malia often carried the quiet responsibility of being the older sibling, a role her parents have long said she embraced with a mix of maturity, sensitivity, and curiosity about the world. From her earliest years, the Obamas described her as wise and thoughtful, a child who seemed to understand emotions, fairness, and life lessons beyond her age. Her personality showed itself in small but memorable ways. According to her parents, Malia loved collecting keychains and took drama classes as a young girl, early hints of the creativity and artistic leanings she would later pursue. Michelle Obama once shared that by first grade, Malia was already showing signs of independence. She woke up to her own alarm clock, made her bed every morning, and carried herself with a quiet confidence unusual for her age. These traits, her parents said, reflected not only discipline, but also a natural sense of responsibility. Barack Obama often marveled at how both of his daughters could move him to tears with their kindness and insight. He recalled to People magazine in 2008 that Malia, then just a child, often surprised him with the depth of her reflections. "My 9-year-old is always coming up with remarkable things," he said, emphasizing her good-hearted nature. One moment in particular stayed with him. When Malia was 6 years old, she and Barack were walking along Lake Michigan, hand in hand, when she suddenly asked, "Daddy, are we rich?" Her father carefully explained, "We're very well off compared to a lot of people, but we're not really rich, as some people might define really rich." Malia thought about this for a moment before responding with striking clarity. "Well, that's good because I don't want to be really rich. I think I want to live a simple life." Barack later admitted that the comment floored him. "I looked at her and wondered, where did she come up with that?" It was a window into her values even then, showing a child who could see beyond material wealth and focus on what really mattered. As she grew older, Malia continued to blend a natural intelligence with an outgoing spirit. In a 2020 interview with InStyle, Barack described her as somebody who enjoys people, enjoys life, and enjoys conversation. He admired that she was never bored, a quality he called badass because it meant she could find meaning and enjoyment in nearly any situation. That attitude, he believed, would take her far in life, whether in relationships, career, or personal growth. Despite being the daughter of the president and spending her formative teenage years under the intense glare of public attention, Malia experienced many of the same milestones as her peers. One of the most memorable came in 2014, when Barack confirmed that his daughter had gone to prom as a sophomore in high school. Ever the protective father, he joked that whether or not she went with a date was classified information, but he couldn't help reflecting on the bittersweet nature of the moment. "I think it's fair to say that the first time you see your daughter in heels is a little bit jarring," he admitted on Live with Kelly and Michael. Like so many parents, he was struck by the sudden realization that his little girl was growing up before his eyes. Yet he also beamed with pride, describing Malia as lovely and beautiful, not only in appearance, but in the grace with which she carried herself. When Malia Obama graduated from high school in 2016, she faced the same bittersweet milestone as millions of other teenagers, though with the added uniqueness of leaving behind not just her family home, but the White House. Her father, Barack Obama, acknowledged the transition with both pride and a touch of parental humor. They're ready to get out, just out from their parents' house, he told people at the time. The fact that their parents' house is the White House may add to it. But Malia's going off to college. She's a grown woman. Instead of diving straight into higher education, Malia chose to take a gap year, a decision that reflected both her curiosity about the world and her desire to explore her own passions before committing to the rigors of academia. That year allowed her to broaden her experiences, travel, and begin carving out her own professional path, away from the heavy shadow of her family's political legacy. In 2017, she enrolled at Harvard University, one of the world's most prestigious schools, and 4 years later, in 2021, she proudly graduated. While her time at Harvard cemented her as a serious student, it was her pursuits outside the classroom that hinted at the direction she hoped to take in her career. From the start, Malia gravitated toward the television and film industry, not as a celebrity or public figure, but as a creative force behind the scenes. Even before Harvard, she had begun gaining experience through internships that reflected her determination to learn the business from the ground up. She landed a spot on the set of Lena Dunham's HBO series Girls, an opportunity that gave her a first-hand look at how a writer's room and production set operate. She also briefly interned at the Weinstein Company before the studio's collapse amid scandal, which nonetheless offered her early insight into the corporate side of entertainment. Her hands-on training continued with a position as a production assistant on Halle Berry's CBS sci-fi drama Extant. On set, Malia handled the day-to-day grind of production work, learning the long hours and collaborative teamwork that television requires. Those who worked alongside her described her as approachable, hard-working, and eager to absorb as much knowledge as possible, traits that would serve her well in her next steps. By the time she left Harvard, Malia was ready to transition from observer to creator. Her big breakthrough came when she joined the writing team for Donald Glover's Amazon series Swarm, a darkly satirical show exploring fandom culture. Working with acclaimed talents like Glover and co-creator Janine Neighbors, Malia proved she had both originality and a strong narrative voice. Neighbors later told Entertainment Tonight that Malia's contributions stood out immediately. Some of her pitches were wild as hell, and they were just so good and so fun, she recalled. She's an incredible writer. She brought a lot to the table. She's really, really dedicated to her craft. In 2024, Malia Obama stepped firmly into her own creative identity when she made her directorial debut at the Sundance Film Festival. Presenting under the professional name Malia Ann, she premiered her short film The Heart, a project she both wrote and directed. The film told the story of a grieving son who uncovers something unusual in his late mother's will, using that premise to explore profound human emotions. Speaking about her vision in Sundance's Meet the Artist segment, Malia explained, "The film is about lost objects and lonely people and forgiveness and regret, but I also think it works hard to uncover where tenderness and closeness can exist in those things." She added that she hoped audiences would walk away feeling comforted. "We hope you enjoy the film, and it makes you feel a bit less lonely, or at least reminds you not to forget about the people who are." The film marked more than just an artistic debut. It was also a symbolic declaration of independence. By choosing to drop her last name and present herself as Malia Ann, she sent a clear message. She wanted her work to be judged on its own merit, not on her family's political legacy. Her father, Barack Obama, spoke about the decision in an October 2024 episode of the Pivot podcast. "I was all like, 'You do know they'll know who you are,'" he recalled with a laugh. And she's all like, "You know what? I want them to watch my film that first time and not in any way have that association." For Michelle Obama, the move resonated deeply. On the Sibling Revelry podcast in June 2025, she reflected on her daughter's desire to build their own lives without leaning on their last name. "It is very important for my kids to feel like they've earned what they are getting in the world, and they don't want people to assume that they don't work hard, that they're just handed things," she said. They're very sensitive to that. They want to be their own people. Malia's pursuit of independence, however, has never meant detachment from her values or her family's legacy of social engagement. In the summer of 2020, she and her sister Sasha joined Black Lives Matter protests, marching alongside countless other young people calling for justice and systemic reform. The choice was not a publicity stunt, but a personal commitment, reflecting the sisters' awareness of both their platform and their responsibility as young Black women in America. Michelle has often pointed to the closeness between Malia and Sasha as one of the family's greatest blessings. In her book, The Light We Carry, she described their unique bond. I think that they realize that they have a unique bond because they're the only two who know what they just went through. Growing up in the White House with the brightest spotlight in the world on you as you were going through adolescence and puberty. They uniquely know what that means for them. That bond, forged under extraordinary circumstances, remains a source of strength for both sisters as they chart their separate paths. As proud as Michelle is of her daughter's independence, she is also fiercely protective. In an interview with People en Español, she admitted that one of the hardest aspects of writing about her life is deciding how much to reveal about her girls. It is hard for me to delve too deeply, for example, into the lessons I've learned as a parent because I'm trying to protect the privacy of my girls, she explained. You have to pull back on how much you share about their lives and how much you put them back out in the public eye because they're not looking for the attention. For Malia, stepping onto the Sundance stage as Malia Ann symbolized more than the unveiling of a film. It was the unveiling of a young artist defining herself outside the White House spotlight. With the heart, she announced to the world that she was not simply the daughter of a president, but a storyteller with her own voice, her own vision, and her own path forward. Sasha Obama. Sasha Obama was the youngest child of Barack and Michelle Obama. From the beginning, her parents encouraged both Sasha and her older sister, Malia, to live as normal a childhood as possible, despite the unique trajectory their lives would later take. Sasha grew up immersed in activities that reflected her vibrant personality and boundless energy. She played basketball, took tap dance lessons, practiced gymnastics, and, along with Malia, also tried her hand at tennis and piano. In the Obama household, the rules were simple but firm. No whining. That philosophy instilled resilience and self-discipline in both girls. By many accounts, Sasha quickly revealed herself to be a strong-willed child with her own sense of direction. Michelle's mother, Marion Robinson, who lived with the family in the White House to help during Barack's presidency, noticed it early on. Sasha is more like Michelle, Marion told People in 2007. She's more determined. She's got her own mind made up. By contrast, she observed, Malia was more like Michelle's brother Craig, easygoing, a peacemaker, and often a worrier. That determination became one of Sasha's defining traits. Even her father recognized her remarkable confidence and independence. In a 2020 interview with InStyle, Barack described Sasha as someone who was completely confident about her own take on the world and is not cowed or intimidated, and never has been, by anybody's titles, anybody's credentials. If she thinks something's wrong or right, she will say so. It was a quality that made her stand out, even in the rarefied atmosphere of the White House, where her parents constantly interacted with world leaders, celebrities, and dignitaries. But Sasha's personality was not defined by seriousness alone. She was also the comedian of the family, the one who infused humor into daily life. Barack often shared stories of her quick wit, which reminded everyone that even in the midst of politics and presidential duties, their home remained filled with laughter. In 2008, while campaigning for the presidency, Barack told People that his younger daughter was just full of energy and the comedian in the family. He recounted one particularly endearing moment. I was in bed. The girls came in. I was sleeping late after 10 days straight on the campaign, and Michelle, who wakes up early all the time, comes in and starts turning on the lights, jostling us and saying it's time to get up and dressed for school. And Sasha says, Oh, Mommy, we are peace. She meant peaceful, I gather, Barack recalled with a laugh. That little slip of language quickly became a family catchphrase. So now, whenever Michelle and I want some quiet time, we say, "We are peace. I am peace." As Sasha grew older, her humor only sharpened, and Barack admitted that teasing him became something of a family tradition. On Dax Shepard's Armchair Expert podcast in 2021, the former president revealed that he was generally the brunt of every joke in the household. He said that Sasha, Malia, and Michelle regularly ganged up on him in playful mockery, especially when he stumbled over pop culture references. "The three of them just mock me constantly," he laughed, noting examples like mispronouncing the name of a hip-hop artist Sasha listened to. When Sasha Obama graduated from Sidwell Friends School in Washington, D.C. in 2019, she closed a significant chapter of her life. Sidwell had been home to her and her sister Malia throughout their years in the White House, and it was where Sasha grew up under the gaze of classmates, teachers, and the ever-present Secret Service detail. After graduation, she made the choice to step away from the East Coast and enrolled at the University of Michigan, eager to carve out her independence and experience college life in a new setting. But Sasha's entry into college coincided with a global upheaval. By early 2020, the COVID-19 pandemic forced universities across the country to shut down campuses and move to remote learning. Instead of bustling lecture halls and football games in Ann Arbor, Sasha's first years at Michigan were spent taking classes online from home. For her, like many students, it was a challenging adjustment. Yet for her parents, Barack and Michelle Obama, the sudden return of both daughters under one roof felt like an unexpected gift. Speaking to People in 2020, Barack admitted that the girls probably felt some frustration at being back home full-time. "There are times where it's felt claustrophobic, I'm sure, for them," he said with sympathy. Still, as a father, he cherished the opportunity. "But for Michelle and me as parents, to have this bonus time where your kids are having dinner with you every night and we're playing games and watching movies together, there's been a lot of joy to that." After years of balancing the pressures of public life with parenting, the pandemic created rare moments of intimacy and normalcy for the family. Michelle, too, reflected on how quickly Sasha was growing up. In April 2022, during an appearance on The Ellen DeGeneres Show, the becoming author affectionately referred to her younger daughter as her littlest pea. But she acknowledged that the little girl who once adored boy bands was now stepping into adulthood. "They loved the Jonas Brothers. Now they are bringing grown men home," she said with a laugh, revealing that both Malia and Sasha had boyfriends. To Michelle, it was a humorous yet poignant reminder that her daughters were no longer children, but young women forging their own identities and relationships. Barack had shared a similar sentiment the year before, though in his characteristically light-hearted way. On The Late Late Show in May 2021, he joked about the unusual challenges his daughters faced when dating as teenagers in the White House. "They still have PTSD from guys talking into their wrist microphones and glasses as they're trying to go to a music concert," he said, recalling how Secret Service agents had to accompany them everywhere. For Sasha and Malia, moments that might have been ordinary rites of passage for most teenagers were always tinged with the surreal reality of growing up as presidential daughters. Both Sasha and Malia Obama have carved out their own paths since leaving the White House, and in recent years, they've also taken a big step together, moving into a shared apartment in Los Angeles. For Michelle and Barack, who had spent so many years raising their daughters under the scrutiny of public life, watching them establish independence has been both bittersweet and rewarding. Michelle opened up about this transition during a November 2022 interview with People while promoting her memoir, The Light We Carry. She recalled the moment her daughters told her they would be living together, and her reaction was carefully measured. "You try not to react too much because it's like, you don't want to go, 'Oh my gosh, I'm so happy for you,' because then they think, 'Well, maybe this is not a good thing if my mom likes it,'" she said with a laugh. Instead, Michelle responded with calm encouragement, "Okay, Well, that's interesting that you guys are going to try living together. We'll see how it goes. Behind that understated reply, however, was genuine joy. As she later admitted, it meant a lot to her that her daughters, despite their different personalities and life directions, found comfort and companionship in each other. It feels good to know that the two girls you raised find solace at a kitchen table with one another. It's like the one thing you want for them, Michelle reflected. Their Los Angeles home has become a symbol of their independence. Rather than leaning on their parents' fame or wealth, Sasha and Malia have embraced the reality of young adulthood, decorating their place with second-hand treasures from yard sales and bargain pieces from IKEA. Michelle described how the girls created a cozy space while carefully watching their budget, a detail that reminded her of the grounded values she and Barack had always hoped to instill. The sisters even played hosts on occasion. Michelle recalled visiting their apartment with Barack, only to be treated to a round of martinis, though, as she joked on the Today Show, the cocktails left room for improvement. "The martinis were a little weak. I don't think they really knew what it was," she laughed, proud nonetheless that her daughters were eager to welcome their parents into their adult lives. In May 2023, Sasha marked one of her most important milestones yet, graduating from the University of Southern California with a degree in sociology. Michelle, Barack, and Malia were all there to cheer her on, standing proudly in the audience as she received her diploma. For Michelle, who often spoke about the challenges of raising children in the public eye, it was a defining moment of validation that her youngest had not only flourished, but had also remained focused on her education and personal growth. The celebrations continued into 2025. In June, Michelle shared a heartfelt birthday tribute to Sasha on Instagram, paired with a photo of the family of 4 during a tropical getaway. "Happy birthday to my sweet girl, Sasha. Can't believe how quickly time has flown. I'm so proud of the woman you've become. Love you always," the former First Lady wrote. The snapshot captured not only the joy of the occasion, but also the unshakable closeness of a family that has weathered years in the spotlight yet managed to preserve a private, loving bond. What do you think about the current life of Barack Obama's 2 daughters? Leave us your comments in the section below. We hope you have found this helpful video. Don't forget to leave a like, share, and subscribe to the channel if you like it. Thank you for watching this, and see you in the next videos. Goodbye.